people were affected by those songs, whether it's Turn Your Heart Around from Love Stories and Other Musings, or Vexatious from Disappearing in Airports, or Riptide from Wolves, or, anything off of Happy Pills, for God's sakes. I mean, I've had such a great time making these records, but I'm going to miss it. But yes, it's time for me to be the husband and the father that I've always wanted to be.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy from GhostCultMag.com, and I'm once again honored to be joined by Kevin from Candlebox. How are you doing?
I'm great, my man. Nice to see you again.
It is so nice to see you again. A little bittersweet as we are talking about the farewell album and tour. The Long Goodbye is coming out soon. You predicted this in our last chat about a year and a half ago that this was where your life was headed. I can't lie and say I'm thrilled, but I want you to be happy, and you got to do what you need to do for your family and yourself. And, it's 30 years over 30 years is a long time to put into anything, let alone the music business.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think about it all the time, and through the conversations with my wife and discussing what my future was. This just seemed like the perfect time to do it, like I mentioned a year and a half ago, we chatted about this. I have been contemplating this for quite some time. It just was, it's no easy feat to have any type of success in this business. And I think that's the most difficult thing for most artists when it comes time to actually put things away. It's hard to do because you've achieved something that not everybody does, and you want to hang on to it. And for me, I just, I felt like I'd hung on to it long enough. And it is, like last night in St. Louis, we had this amazing show, and I have moments where I'm standing there going, have I made the right decision? But I know deep in my heart I have. It's just the emotion is such a strange thing because you have those highs and lows as an artist, your entire career, and like you mentioned, 30 years is a long time for a band to have any type of success, or anybody, outside of living 30 years. I mean, most people don't have jobs for 30 years, or with the same employer. Maybe they do, but it's very rare. And I'm just so lucky, and I'm so grateful that this has been the opportunity I've had, and that I've had a fan base that has allowed me to continue to make music for those 30 years. And I've never reached the success of the first album, but that never really mattered to me. It was that I was able to continue to make music, and hopefully people were affected by those songs, whether it's Turn Your Heart Around from Love Stories and Other Musings, or Vexatious from Disappearing in Airports, or Riptide from Wolves, or, anything off of Happy Pills, for God's sakes. I mean, I've had such a great time making these records, but I'm going to miss it. But yes, it's time for me to be the husband and the father that I've always wanted to be.
Nicely
That
done,
makes
man.
sense.
Yeah, family always first. This business is a monster, and let's not forget about the fact that a lot of your peers, many are not here anymore, or if you're lucky enough to be around still and be healthy and happy, mental health is never appreciated or respected enough in this country, for sure. And there's so many we lost along the way. I like to say we lost a lot of rock soldiers. By their first names alone: Lane, Mark, it was Chris, even Ben from Grunt Truck was a huge,
Yeah.
she was a huge fan of that band, and like that guy was insanely creative and talented. And so I'm, if you're getting to be here, I'm so happy for you, because it's, like I said, as a fan, I'm like, but also like, and I don't know, I don't feel like you're completely retiring from music. I'm sure you can make a solo album, or make solo albums, or make music, maybe, or come back in 5 years and say, maybe I'll go do a thing. It's a good place to put a punctuation mark.
A pin. Put a little pin in there.
Put a pin in there for now. Yeah, I hope you're not done totally making music, because I think you have a lot. This new record's amazing. I hope everybody picks it up. I got so much out of this, and I also am a fan of. I love Happy Pills, so like this is like that. The summation of everything. Is this? You feels like a thesis, this album, or is this feels like this is the record I'm making now?
No, I think it's really, for me, what I wanted to do with the Long Goodbye album was I wanted to make a record that the five of us would be incredibly proud of as a band. And it's the first time in a long time that I've written with the five members of my band. Normally what I would do is I would come in with a song, sit down with Island or sit down with Brian, chop it up, knock it out, and get it ready to work with Adam. and then give it to Dave Cruisen, and then, you know, we'd make the album, and it would be bits and pieces, and it would work. But this record, it was, you know, BJ being our new drummer who just joined us last year. He's a phenomenal musician, and he's a great guitar player and songwriter. So I knew that I wanted to incorporate the band in the process of this album, and it's really, the direction of it was, let's not stop ourselves. If we love where we're going, let's go there. And, you know, we have an audience that's built in, that's going to buy it and listen to it, but maybe we can reach another audience. And, you know, the fingers crossed that this record does well, and I don't get to end it, you know, my touring at the end of the year. I've got to continue on and tour next year. That'd be a great gift for me. And I think that would be a really lovely thing for the fans and the band. Obviously, chances are that's not going to happen. But, you know, if it does, that there are worse things. And I just hope people love this record as much as we do. I mean, we went in there and made the record we wanted to make. There was no thought as to, do we have this song? Do we have that song? Do we have a song in 6? It was really, oh, I love that song, let's record it. And that's what we did.
Nice. I did not know that about BJ. Now I'll be looking out more for him in the future. But I will say that Brian and Island showed up so hard on this record. There's so much great guitar stuff on here. Not necessarily even just riffs, just beautiful layers and all kinds of cool flavors and timbres, man. It's like a tour de force of guitar and voice for rock. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
I sounded like a quote from a review I didn't write yet, but there it is. Yeah, we'll tell the publicist there to put that in the pull quotes that I didn't write yet. I'm sure a review is coming. But anywho, let's do a little track by track of the album together, and whatever you feel like sharing with our audience, we'd be appreciative. Obviously, the album kicks off with the awesome new single "Punks." It is a real good way to open the record for sure.
Yeah, "Punks" is a song. When we started working on it, I mean, I instantly knew when we did this demo that it was going to be a cool song. I mean, we were sitting in the studio in Baltimore. It was the first day, and I had this beautiful 1974 walnut 335 Gibson that I'd been wanting to do some work on in a studio, and I hadn't had a chance to record with it. And I just plugged it into this amp, and I started playing that riff, that dun 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 dun, dun. And the band kicked in like within 30 seconds and was like, whoa, what are you doing there? And I was like, oh, I just got this thing, and it happened so fast. So I knew that it was going to be a special song. Lyrically, I wrote this with a couple songwriters that I wanted to work with in Nashville. This kid named Chief, another kid named Nick Brown, who sings for a band called Mona, and he's featured on our record a couple tracks as well. And this other kid, Ryan Sorensen, I always screw his last name up. It's like Sorensen or something like that. But what I wanted to project from the song was that everything that I had learned as a musician over, you know, the 54 years that I've been on this planet, and, you know, 45 of them being a musician, there's so much that I had taken from all my experiences. And I never thought along the way that what I was doing was groundbreaking in any way, shape, or form. I knew that the music that was inspiring me and influencing me was something that could utilize in my songwriting, but I knew that had been done before. And so what I wanted to portray lyrically in the songs, it's no matter how hard you work, just understand that it's all been there before you've done it. It's your job to make sure that you make it yours. And it's your job to be ahead of that game. And if you're following the trends and if you're chasing this road, you're not going to get where you want to go. You're going to end up hitting every single wall and every single obstacle that's in front of you, because you're not trying to outdo yourself. You're just trying to be what you think everybody wants. And so that's what the sentiment of the song is that you've got to get out there and you've got to knock some doors down. You got to break some shit. And that's how you're going to find who you are. And if you're not willing to do that, you're going to sit here in you know, the spin cycle and, you know, not achieve what you want to achieve. So I know how people are taking that from it. I mean, I think that people kind of think that maybe I'm saying, you know, we already did this and you guys got nothing. And that's not what it is. It's really, you know, I've never been the type of lyricist that's wanted to kind of tell you how to live your life. What I'm trying to do is give you options. And, you know, because if you learn anything from me as a musician, you know, I'm highly opinionated. I'm incredibly political. And I do certainly have opinions that I want you to understand. At the same time, I want you to think for yourself, and that's what Punk's about.
Right on. Hashtag you got to break some shit, by the way. I love it. Speaking of Mona, what What Do You Need is the next track, also featuring the band.
Yeah, this is a great song. I mean, in the sense that when you can collaborate with people, what you can get out of it. This is a really interesting track for us. I don't think people are going to be expecting this type of a song. It's a stomper. I had this song in the studio, and I wasn't really sure what to do with it lyrically. And I said to Nick, I said, "Hey man, I want to give you this track because I've always been a huge fan of Nick's. And for your listeners, if you don't know who Mona are, check out this band. Their first record came out, I believe, in 2010. He's an incredibly prolific musician. He produces music like daily, 3-4 songs a day. It's incredible. And I said to him, I said, I don't know where I want to go with the song, but I think that you have such a great concept when it comes to your intuition as to who you work with, because he's a songwriter out of Nashville. And I just want you to take it and do what you want. And he came back in 15 minutes later with this first verse of the song, and I was like, okay, yes, it's exactly where I want to go. And I think the beauty of it is what it's telling you is how much do you need to take? There's so much out there. How much do you need? Is why is greed so important to us? And why do we feel the need to take things from other people that doesn't belong to us? Why can't we let people be who they are? Why can't we live their lives and live their lives the way they want to live it? And what do you need? What do you really need? What are you asking for? And that's what the song's about. Ask yourself that. Look in the mirror and say, where are we going? What is this? What am I doing? How am I living my life? And what kind of a person am I?
Probably my favorite track on the record is the third track, Elegante.
Oh, thank you. I love I love this song.
It's a fun song.
Yeah, thank you. This started actually in a sound check in 2021. I had this guitar pattern that I was working on, which is just a verse riff. And I was playing it on acoustic, and the guys came up and just started playing along with me, and it formed itself really, really quickly. So we recorded it at sound check onto our console, and I made sure that Carlos, our sound guy, sent it to me, and I sent it off to Island. I said, let's make sure that we don't forget this track. So that was 2 years ago. So when it came time to record it, I wanted to make sure that like you had mentioned earlier, the textures and the layers are what this song's about. Lyrically, I have no clue what it means, to be perfectly honest with you. It was all about taking words and phrases that meant something to each one of us. This young writer, Claire, that was in on the session with me, she's super, super creative. And I said, the word elegante. She's like, how do you rhyme with the word elegante? I said, well, I don't know. And she goes, well, what about Dante? Like Dante's Inferno. And I said, how do we incorporate that saying into the song? So that's why, Dante, let's keep it elegante. So it's really just a play on rhyme and rhythm and movement. And the song's it's about just kind of the sexy feel of things. And I think the chorus represents something. We take what we want to take and we say what we want to say sometimes. But most of the time, it's really just about, sometimes music doesn't have to mean, or the lyrics don't have to mean anything. They just kind of represent an emotion. And that what Elegante does to me is lyrically, it represents the beauty of elegance and what it can mean to people.
I Should Be Happy is the next track.
I should be.
It should be. Is it I should be happy with a little emphasis, or is it like I should be happy? I'm not sure.
It's kind of a Christopher Walken sort of thing. Foo Fighters.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's I should be happy, but am I? And really, again, this is another one of those playing on people's emotions. And do you find yourself enjoying the moment that you're living in? Is it, or are you looking to deconstruct it? Are you looking to break it down? Is it, what is it that life is bringing you? And are you finding those things? For me, the statement is I should be happy, and why am I not? Or am I not happy? And so I'm just asking the question, and I'm reaffirming it. I should be. I'm laughing at me. I should be happy. I should be. And really, it's okay to be happy in life. It's okay to enjoy where you're at. And are you doing that?
Nice. I'm always reminded, as a marketing guy at heart, beside a music guy, that the very first episode of Mad Men, when Don Draper says, "What is happiness?" the minute before you realize you need more of it. It's so brutal.
Exactly.
So brutal. So Nails on a Chalkboard is the next track. It's a good one.
So this is an interesting song. I don't think I'm going to divulge what this song's about. I think that people will find themselves in this track. It's sentimental, and and you know, we all have that relationship in our lives that sometimes, just as broken as it is, we can't leave it, you know. And I think that that's, you know, kind of what this song, what I want people to get from the song is that it's there are tough decisions that need to be made, and sometimes, you know, you're ready for it, and sometimes you're not.
Fair enough, sir. Ugly is the next track.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, you know, we're living in that world right now. You know, ugly people saying ugly things to pretty people doing the same thing. I mean, it's, you know, we just have this. We live in a society now where everybody just feels okay saying whatever they want and acting however they want, and it's disturbing.
Right on. So hard. I don't envy little kids growing up in this time, but I wish them good parenting and all the
Yeah,
hope in the world. It's tough.
exactly.
I wouldn't put myself in this time if I could go back in time. I wouldn't. Maze is the next track.
That's just entirely about my wife, Natalie. I mean, you know, it's, you know, trying to navigate a relationship. We've been together 22 years, and it's a daily navigation, you know. And she is a complete maze to me, and I love it. It's because it's every single day I learn something new about her, and every single day she brings me great joy, you know.
The amazingly titled and amazing lyrics, Cell Phone Jesus is the next track. I love this one too.
Yeah, cell phone Jesus. This is, I mean, again, this is that kid Ryan I was talking about, the songwriter who's just so creative. He said he goes, guys, I got this line. I've wanted to use it, but he's like, it's Nashville. I don't know if I can use it. And I was like, what is it? He said, cell phone Jesus. I was like, dude, that's the perfect title for a song. And because I was raised Roman Catholic, you know, I have a great understanding of religion, organized religion. My father stormed Omaha Beach on June 6th of 1944, and he gave himself to God on that beach and said, I will be your servant for life. And he did. He went to mass every single day. So I have a real understanding of what organized religion is. And the concept here is, if you could pick up the cell phone and call Jesus, would you? And if he answered the phone, what would you ask for? Again, it's an existential question. You know, what are we doing? Where are we? Why are we here? What does this mean? You know, what would you ask for if you could ask Jesus one thing? What would it be? And of course, we live in this day and age where you're going to do it from a cell phone, so it just seemed obvious.
The next to last track is Foxy.
And Foxy's just a fun dance track. It started out with, it was inspired by The Cure. Uh, Everyone in the band, you know, we're all huge fans of The Cure. I mean, if you're not, I don't know why, but and we wanted to write a song that was just really, really poppy. And Foxy is a term that I've used my entire life. I use it during shows all the time. It's just I think it's such a cool word. And the song is really just about sexuality and the joy of experiencing it, you know.
Right on. And the final track on the album is Hourglass.
Hourglass is just those are bookends, man. You know, it is running out. Time is running out. And again, where are you? Where am I? What have I seen? You know, what am I taking with me? Where's life going to lead me now? You know, it's again, looking at myself in the mirror and asking myself those questions.
Right on. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us. That was great, unpacking all those tracks. And just for a final question, because I want to give you back your day, and probably other interviews and other interviewers asking inane questions about your art that doesn't always need to get defined, but here you are helping us. Just a final thought to the fans. Like, what do you like? What would you like to leave the fans as you leave, you know, this final record and, you know, perhaps these final tours?
Well, I think that, you know, I've always said it, that I'm just so grateful that I've had fans that have let me do this for 30 years. I mean, honestly, you know, I wouldn't be here chatting with you if fans didn't exist. And you know, when I started Candlebox with Scott back in 1991, you know, I had the hopes that something was going to happen. But you know, I never really thought that, you know, Candlebox was going to be a great success, because there were so many other bands that were happening at the time in Seattle. And one person bought that record, you know, on day one, and that started everything for me. And I I'll never forget that, you know, and I would love to know who that one person was that bought that first record, you know, like, because imagine that, like, if you could go and meet the person that bought your very first album the day it came out, that gave you a 30-year career, what would you even say? Like, thank you for doing that, you know. And that's just what I want your audience to know, and the fans of Candlebox, is I am just so grateful that you've given me 30 years. It has been a hell of a ride for me.
Amazing. The Long Goodbye is coming out from Round Hill Records, the esteemed Round Hill Records. Kevin Martin, thank you so much for Candlebox. Thank you so much for all this music and the memories. I really appreciate you hanging out with us and Ghost Cult today. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see your face.